Welcome, second session of the 7th Adhyaya. We start with the prayers to the Lord. With whose grace everything is possible, and the Guru Shishya Parampara through which this knowledge is transmitted. Pay my respects to our Guruji, Pujya Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures and I am able to share this understanding with you. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Vidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditanastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we are starting with the 7th Adhyaya of the Bhagavad Gita. As we saw last time in the first session that the first 6 Adhyayas of the Sri Gitaji are mostly related to the Jiva, the Tvam Padartha Shodhana, that means to identify the reality behind the Tvam or the Aham Padartha, and which is predominantly Karma Pradhan. The main subject matter is Karma, Karma Yoga, and then after the third Adhyaya, Gnana Karma Sannyasa. So how by understanding the Gnana we can develop Karma Sannyasa, or we can let go of the Karma and reach to the Gnana and understand our Akarma Swarup or Akarta Atma Swarup. The 7th Adhyaya starts with the Ishwar Tattva Nirupa. So that is the Tat Padartha Shodhan, and it is also the Brahma Padartha, which is what is Brahma, the Tattva, and which is predominantly the subject matter is Bhakti. It is Bhakti Pradhana. Of course, there are many subject matters, but mainly it is devoted to Bhakti. And finally, the last 6 chapters or 6 Adhyayas of Sri Bhagavad Gita are mostly focused mainly on this Aikya knowledge, oneness, the knowledge of oneness, where to understand that behind everything in this universe, Jiva, Jagata and Ishvara, behind everything there is just one Tattva which is pervading everything which is there, and that is the same Tattva that is behind God, that is behind me, and in that way I and the God, the Jiva and the Brahma are the same. And this is predominantly the subject matter is the Gnana, this Gnana, and how to achieve this Gnana, how to do this sadhana, what are the ways we can achieve this. So all this is the subject matter of the last 6 Adhyayas. So Jiva Ishwar Aikya, which is the predominant subject matter or the Tatparya of the Shastras, especially the Vedas and the Upanishads, and that is also given in the Mahavakyas of Upanishads like Tattvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi. So all these 3 pada are described in detail in the Sri Bhagavad Gita. That's why it is a complete grantha which can help us to live, navigate in this life with a much better still mind, which can be quietened and which does not have a lot of vikshepa, dukkha, moha, and all these doshas in our mind can be relieved by this understanding, by this knowledge. And the many sadhanas that Lord Krishna has described, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Brahma Gnana, Gnana Yoga, these are all sadhana and sadhya. So that vivek is also necessary. What is the sadhana and what is the sadhana, sadhya, or what is the goal? Brahma Gnana is the goal. So 7th Adhyaya, we started in the first session. We saw that Lord Krishna said, Mai Asakta Madartha, and he described the Gnana, Vijnana, and Prakriti Viveka, Apara Prakriti, Para Prakriti, and then Lord Krishna describes his Vibhuti, how he can be seen everywhere in this world. And then in today's session, we are going to talk about the description of Maya. What is Maya? What is Moha? How we are all deluded? What is the Asuri Bhav? People who do not devote to the Lord, and who are the 4 types of devotees that devote the God. And Bhagavan then says that he is, the Gnani Bhakta is a Sresht for him, according to him. And then the devotees of other Devata, Karma Phala Data, and benefits of the glory, of knowing the glory. And finally, the last session will be on to know this ultimate Swarup of the Almighty. So let us just summarize what we saw in the first session last time. Bhagavan said, Mai asakta manaha, attach your mind to me. Madashrayaha, surrender to me. And with this, you continue to do your karma, your yoga sadhana continuously. And with this, I will definitely let you know what is the gnana along with the vijnana, that is the Brahma gnana, along with the assimilated experience, paroksha gnana of the Brahma gnana. And kaschit mam vetti tattvataha. Very few people come on this path. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschidati mam vetti. He says, so very few people know me really tattvataha. And then he describes both his prakrutis, the apara prakriti, ashtara, the 8 types of apara prakriti, which consist of 5 panchamahabhuta and mana, buddhi, ahankara. So, and then he says the jiva bhutam, which holds, or which the dharayate jagata, that is, which is the foundation of this jagata, is the my paraprakriti jiva bhuta. So idam sarvam mai protam, everything is woven in me, just like the beads are woven in a string or in a thread. And then he describes his vibhuti, which can help us to know how we can see God everywhere in this world, which is very difficult for us because our understanding is that everything keeps changing. Whatever we see, we believe is the reality. That's why whatever is unseen, we never think that this could be the reality. That's a problem with us. And that's how this adhyaya ended with this session. The last session ended with this shloka. Ye chaiva sattvika bhava rajasastamasaschaye matta eveti tan vidhi tvaham teshu te mai. So here Lord Krishna says, Yecha eva sattvika rajasa tamasa cha bhava. All these worldly objects are comprises of the 3 gunas, the sattvic, the rajasic and tamasic. Matta eva iti tan vidhi. Note that they all arise from me. All these 3 gunatmak jagata that you see, everything arises from me. He says, na tu aham teshu temai. Na tu aham means I am not in them. Teshu temai because they are dependent on me. I am not dependent on them. So that is the meaning of this shloka. So what we need to understand is that the Jagata is Trigunatmika. It is consists of 3 gunas, and Jagat comes from the Maya, which is also Trigunatmika because it also consists of the 3 gunas. And these 3 gunas are Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic. And everything in this world consists of these 3 gunas. Say for example, the origin of all our Antakarana, Mana, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta, everything arises from the Sattvic part of the Sukshma Panchamahabhuta, that is the Antakarana. The Rajasic part gives rise to Prana, and the Tamasic part gives rise to the Sthula Sharira. So all these, the entire body and all this is the origin, the birthplace, the way it comes is through these 3 gunas. And these 3 gunas, the gunas are, Sattvic gunas are Shama, Dama, Shanti, Santosh, Arjavam, all these are the Sattvic gunas. Rajasic gunas are a lot of karma, pravrutti, trushna, lobh, desires. All these are Rajasic gunas. And Tamasic gunas are Nidra, Alasa, Pramada, laziness. All these are Tamasic gunas. Similarly, Sattvic vrittis are Seva, Puja, Archana, Japa, Dhyana. All these are Sattvic vrittis. Rajasic vrittis is doing a lot of Vishaya objects, being into the moh and bhoga of a lot of worldly objects, and vyapara, lot of selfish motives are the Rajasic, whereas Tamasic are akarmanyata, that is laziness. And the people who are more Sattvic are, of course, it's considered to be that Brahmanas, Devtas, Rishi, Muni, they are all having more Sattvic qualities. Vaishyas, Kinnaras, Yaksha, they have more Rajasic qualities, whereas Shudras, Rakshasa, Preta, Bhuta, all these having more Tamasic qualities. So this is how the entire Jagata, which is the Karya, comes from the Maya, which is the Karana. And this Maya is also related to Brahma, Brahmashraya Maya as it is called. So Bhagavan says, Matta eva iti, they arise from me, and natu aham teshu temai, I am not in them. They are within me, they arise from me, they are within me. I am not dependent on them, they are dependent on me. That is what Lord Krishna tells us. So we need to understand that Paramatma or Ishwara or Bhagwan is Swadhin. He is Swatantra, he is independent completely. He has his own Satta, Swasatta, through which everything else becomes Sattavan, and he is the Satya. That means this is the Param Satya Nitya. Whereas the Jagata is the Paradhin, means it has to depend on something else for its own existence. It is Paratantra, it is based on Parasatta, it is Sattavan, and that's why Jagata is also called Mithya. And that is the concept of Vedanta. There is a principle of Vedanta which says Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. So here it means that because Brahma is that Tattva which is eternal, which is Satya because it is Nitya. It is there in all the three Trikala Abhadita. That's why it is called Satya. Whereas Jagata is Paradhin. It is continuously changing. It is ever. It requires the help of Chaitanya to manifest, and that's why it is called Mithya. It is an illusion. But illusion does not mean that it cannot be seen, because it comes in our experience. We daily see this world. So it is not, but the way it is seen is not the reality. That is the meaning of illusion, that the way we see it is not the reality. The reality is something hidden behind it, which we are not seeing. So that is how we are all involved in the name and the forms, and but for its existence, all these names and forms which are changing have to depend on the Adhisthana, which is the Sat, Chit and the Ananda. Tribhir gunamayi bhavaihi ebhi sarvamidam jagata mohitam nabhijanati mamebhyah paramavyayam. So here Shri Krishna tells us that though I am everywhere, but still people don't know me, they don't realize me, they don't understand me. And what is the reason? He gives a reason also. He explains that Tribhihi Gunamai Bhavaihi Ebihi, means in this world of the three gunas, Sarvam Idam Jagat Mohitam, all beings are deluded by them, three gunas. So because this world is made up of three gunas, all the people, it says Sarvam Idam Jagata Mohita, they are all mohit, moh ho gaya hai sabko. So they are all deluded by these three gunas, na abhijanati, and that's why they don't know me, because they are all in moha because of these three gunas. And mam ebhya param avyayam, as my real nature, Swarupa, which is eternal, indestructible, which is much above the three gunas, but everybody is in these three gunas, and that's why they don't come up above and see what is beyond these three gunas. So nobody transcends these three gunas, this world made up of three gunas. Nobody tries to do that, and that's why they don't know me, because I am above this. My Parama Avyaya Swarupa, which is eternal, indestructible, is already said this before, that this is my real nature, this is my real Swarupa, and which is above the three gunas. So what is this moha? It can be, there is no perfect English word for this, but it can be said delusion is one of the way it can be described. Attachment is another way it can be described, but moha is not attachment. Attachment is mamata, but the root of mamata is in moha. So moha causes mamata and causes attachment. So mohitam na abhijanati, they don't know me because they are all mohita, they are all in moha, they are all deluded. That's what Shri Krishna tells us. So moha is something that does not allow us to give a true vision. It gives us a colored vision. What is reality we cannot see. The Satya Darshana is not there. So we see something different than what it actually is. And that's how it is called. And that person is called Mohanda. He is blind because of Mohanda. So one who has too much of Moh, he cannot see clearly. And the classical and the famous example is Dhritarashtra in Mahabharata, where because of his Moh for his children, he does injustice to Pandu's sons, and that's how the Pandavas wage a war against the Kauravas in the Mahabharata, where Sri Bhagavad Gita is discourse is given by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna, and through Arjuna to the entire humanity. And of course even Arjuna got moha when he saw his relatives, and instead of seeing them as warriors, which he would have killed them otherwise, he thought that they are my own relatives. How can I fight with them? How can I kill them? And that's why he became grasta with moha. So that's why this Bhagavad Gita Lord Krishna had to say, which helped us to understand something. So moha itself means that there is no proper viveka, that discriminating intellect we are not using, which is the power that God has given us. We are not using that vivek shakti which discriminates. And the main discrimination that we have to do in our life is atma anatma viveka. Of course, there are many other viveka we have to do at every day, every step, every moment in our life. Jada chetan, nitya, anitya, guna, dosha, satya, mithya are the other viveka which our shastras tell us to do. And Bhagavan says, Mam Param Avyaya, my true nature, which is eternal, which is changeless. People don't know me, but they see the names and the forms because they are all in moha. They do not see me where I am there behind this moha, behind these names and the forms. Say, for example, while we are reading a book, we only see or look at the letters. We don't see the page on which these letters are written. So, but unless this page is there, the letters cannot be written. But our drashti, our vision is only on the letters when we are looking at something. And that's why, so that is how we can explain how we are all, mohit on the names and the forms. Similarly, while we go out and see a movie, we all see these objects, changing pictures, motion, movie, the music, everything. And we get so involved in it that we don't look at even the screen, which is not apparently seen. And that is the adhisthana, that is the foundation on which all these motion, pictures, music, everything can be done. So that is how, these are some of the examples which can be used to understand how we all are deluded in this moha and we do not see anything behind it, which is the foundation, which is the adhisthana of these all these moving and the changing things. Daivi yesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya Mame vaye prapadyante maya me tam tarantite. So here Lord Krishna tells us why Jiv does not know me. He says it is because of the maya that they develop the moha. And the previous shloka he says they are all in mohita. That's why they are not seeing me. Here he is saying that this is because of the maya that they develop the moha. And he also shows the solution how we can get over the maya. He says, Daivi hi esha gunamayi. He says three things. Maya is Daivi. He says it is esha Maya, this Maya which comes under my experience, and it is Gunamayi Maya. Means it is consisting of three gunas. Then he says, Maya Maya Duratyaya. He says, Maya is very difficult to understand and overcome. See, each and every word is very important. He says, Mama Maya, my Maya. It belongs to the Lord. And he says Duratyaya. It's very difficult to understand, very difficult to overcome, very difficult. He says Ma, and then he shows the solution, how we can get across or this Maya and get over it. He says Mam eva ye prapadyante. One who comes to my shelter, Mayam etam tarantite. He gets across this Maya, this samsara. Otherwise it's very difficult. One who does not take the shelter or the refuge of the Lord, does not understand what he tries to say, then it is very difficult to cross this Maya and get across this samsara, ocean samsara, which is called, samsara sagar. So he says three things here, Daivihi, Esha, Gunamayi, Maya, this Maya which is my own and which consists of three gunas. He says Daivi Maya means God's own Maya, because Bhagavan is called the Mayapati, he is the Ishvara. And Maya is a Shakti which is of the Lord. He summons Maya wherever he wants to. Whenever he wanted to take birth with Devaki and Vasudeva, he summoned Maya Shakti to change the womb and to so Maya is at the shelter of the Lord, and he uses this Shakti whenever he wants to take a birth. So that is how even Brahma, Maya, just like he takes avatara, similarly even Jagat, the entire creation of this universe is through this Maya Shakti. Because the question can come how, if Bhagavan is Nirgun Nirakar and this Jagata is the world which is seen, which is names and forms, how is it that from a Nirgun Tattva, name and form Tattva can arise? So that is the question that can come up, and the answer and the samadhana is that it is the Maya the Bhagwan takes help of this Maya, and with this this Jagata or this universe is born. One of the other misconceptions is that Adi Shankaracharya, who is one of the main proponents of Vedanta, who has written a lot of bhashya and commentaries on 10 Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, and lot of other Vivek Chudamani, lot of other granthas, that he is the person who started this concept of Maya. It's actually, that's not true. The concept of Maya is already there in Bhagavad Gita. If you see, in many shlok, Bhagavan talks about Maya, and even before that in Kaivalya Upanishad, Sa eva Maya parimohitatma, it is already there that Maya is the thing that, ultimately we get deluded with, the jiva is deluded with. So the Maya concept is an ancient concept. It is not that Shankara started this understanding of Maya actually. He has clarified this understanding and made it very crystal clear, all the concepts of Vedanta. That is what Lord Jagadguru Shankaracharya did. So Maya is actually a Shakti of the God which he takes help, and it is also called Brahma Shraya Maya, because Maya is at the shelter of Brahma. Brahma is the Lord and Maya is it is like a servant to the God. Now, Maya cannot be seen by senses, so we can't understand what is Maya, and that's how the delusion occurs. The Moha and the Maya, as we say, it happens. But it is called Hi Esha Maya, this Maya, because it can be experienced. Very commonly we experience day in and out how we get deluded, attachments, Moha, how it happens without even understanding. We see something, we get attached to it, how we want it to again, want to see it again and again. So all these things are our common daily experiences, and that's why Bhagavan says Hi Esha and Gunamai, Trigunatmika Maya, because the Jagata, which is Trigunatmak, also comes from Maya, and whatever is in the Karya, which is already there in the Karana. So that's how Maya Shakti. And to understand the Maya Shakti, we commonly take example of the magician. When we go and see a magic show, the magician who is, who has this knowledge, because the Maya Shakti he uses, or some kind of power he uses to delude us, to make us into Moha. And that Shakti only he knows. We don't know. That's why we are come under the spell of them, and we see that something which we cannot explain, we cannot understand, but we see it and we become happy. But the magician knows it, and if there is any other magician sitting in the audience along with us, probably he will be the only other person, enlightened person, the wise man who would know what is this power, what is this Shakti, what is this of the magician. So this is how we can understand what is Maya. And Bhagavan says, Mama Maya Duratyaya, it is very difficult to understand, it is very difficult to overcome. So Bhagavan says, Mama Maya, this is my own Maya, which is Duratyaya, it is difficult to understand. And in Vedanta it is said that Maya is Sat Asat Vilakshana, means it is Anirvachaniya. Means you can't say anything about it, uska swarup ke baare mein kuch zyada keh nahi sakte. It's difficult to prove it, it is difficult to disprove it. It is neither Sat, it is neither Nitya, because when Jnana happens, Maya gets Nivrutta, comes to an end. But it is neither Asatya, because it is evident, it is experienced, and that's why it is called neither Sat nor Asat. It is neither Nitya nor Anitya. It is Vilakshana. It is completely different. It is neither so Virodhi of Sat is Asatya, Virodhi of Asatya is Asat. But Maya is neither opposite of each other. It is something different. And the Maya of the God takes the form of avidya or ignorance of the jiva. So on an individual level, Maya works as avidya, and it is said that it hides our jnana, our atma jnana, our real nature, but it does not hide the jnana of Bhagavan, because Maya is under the shelter of the Lord. In our case, in the jiva's case, the Maya controls the jiva most of the times, and that's why we are all under the influence of Maya, and that's why we get deluded or we come under Moha. And Vedanta tells us that Maya is also mithya. It is perceived, it is an illusion, it does not actually exist. Just like Jagata, Maya is also a mithya, and Ahankar is also mithya, everything is mithya. Cannot tolerate thought or vichara. If you start thinking about Maya, then Maya comes to an end, because the way to end the Maya is to give it a thought, real to understand, to do viveka, to do vichara. That's how. and he says to overcome Maya is difficult, Mama Maya Duratya, but it is not impossible. In several other 8th Adhyaya also, Bhagavan says that it is not impossible to cross the Maya. But definitely, Bhagavan says it needs more work, it is difficult to overcome, and it requires very hard work to end the Maya. And the only solution to end the Maya is to have Atmajnana. That is the only way to get out of this Ajnana. And Bhagavan Shri Krishna also shows us the way out of this Maya, how to overcome this Maya. He says it is difficult, but you can overcome it, and he shows the solution here. He says, Mama eva ye prapadyante. One who comes to my shelter, Mayam etam tarantite. He gets across the Maya or the Samsara. So Maya manifests as all forms in this universe, which is Asat, and the foundation, the Adhisthana of these Maya, behind the Maya is the Sat Tattva, the Brahma Tattva, and most people get entangled in the forms of this world, in the shapes and the other things of this world, which is based on Maya. And by doing this Karma Yoga, by having faith in the God, to do bhakti, devotion, and by the grace of the God, with the sadhana and the jnana, we can end this Maya. And those who take the shelter of the Lord says that they get free from this Maya, taking refuge, surrender to the God, that madashraya, Bhagavan ne hame aage bhi bataya, that is very important. And this is a nice example that is commonly taken, how to, how we can get rid of the Maya. The fisherman who spreads his net across to catch the fishes. So most of the fishes who come into this net will get entangled or will get caught. But only those fishes which are at the feet of the fisherman, they are saved from this, because the net will go away from the fisherman, and the fishes which are at the feet of the fisherman will be saved. Similarly, the jivas who are at the feet of the Lord, who are surrendered to the Lord, will be saved from this net or the jala, Maya jala. Whereas those who are away from the Lord, those who are not at the feet of the Lord, those who are not surrendered to the Lord, those who are not accepted his Sharanagati, will be caught in this Maya jala and will get caught in this samsara. So that is a very beautiful example which is commonly given in Vedanta. Namam dushkrutino mudhaha prapatyante naradhamaha mayaya payata jnana asuram bhavamashritaha. So in this shloka, Lord Krishna says, Namam prapadyante. These are the people who do not take my shelter, who do not pray to me, who do not devote to me. And who are these people? There are 5 types of people he describes, or Krishna describes. 1, Namam dushkrutino. Dushkrutinaha means those who are involved in dushkrutya. Dushkrutya is unrightful activities, adharma, papa, jo log karte hai, those who do not do something that it is, said, Shastra says you should not do, like they do theft or they do corruption, bribery or violence, and all these people who do dushkrutya, unrighteous activities. The second are the mudha. Mudha are people who are deluded by their emotions. They don't use their brains, they don't use their vivek, vichar shakti, but they live in this moha maya. They just live in the samsara, bhoga, vasana, and they don't think about anything else, that there is anything else apart from this. Naradhamaha. Naradhamaha means adhama. Nara adhama means that they live an animal life. They don't live life like human beings. Human beings have been given this mind, this intellect. They can think, they can live a better life, they can uplift themselves, they can learn, they can progress, and they can improve their, karma, punya, all the punji that we have, we can improve. So, but one who does not live like this and does not devote to the Lord, Mayaya apayata gnana, one whose knowledge and intellect is covered or hidden by Maya. So, and asuram bhavam ashrita, those who have asuri vritti, those are the people who have negative emotions like kama, krodha, moha, mada, lobha, matsarya, all these attachments, incessant desires, anger, all these. So these are the people who do not pray to the Lord, do not come to the shelter of the Lord, do not take his refuge, and probably will never be able to get across this Maya samsara, because Bhagavan ne bola aage, he said, only who come to my shelter will be able to overcome this Maya, or this ocean of Moha and Maya. And one needs to constantly try to overcome these obstacles, because unless we, Sharanagati, surrender to the Lord, or we convert our Asuri Bhava into the Daivi Sampatti, we will not be able to come to the refuge or the surrender of the Lord, and will not be able to cross this Sansara Sagar. And here in the next shloka, Lord Krishna talks about who are those 4 types of devotees who pray to Him, who are devoted to Him. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukrutinorjuna arto chigna surar sartharthi gnani cha bharatarshava. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukrutinorjuna arto jigna surar sartharthi gnani cha bharatarshava. So here Lord Krishna says, one who worships me. Who are the people who worships me? He says there are, oh Arjuna, you are the best in Bharata dynasty. Chaturvidha bhajante mam. There are 4 types of people who pray to me. Jana sukritinaha, those who are on the righteous path. आगे बताया dushkrutinaha, those who don't pray to me or do not devote or surrender to me. Here he says those who are sukruti jana, those who are on the righteous path. Those who are on the dharma marga, they do punya, they do good work. And there are 4 types of such people who pray to me. First, he says artha. Artha means those people who are in pain or miseries. Otherwise, they normally don't remember me. But when they are in pain, they are in miseries, then they remember me, and I am still ready to help them. The beautiful example of Gajendra Moksha Katha in Bhagavatam is the Katha of the elephant who was in pain because a crocodile had, bitten his leg and was trying to push him inside. And Draupadi, the famous story of Draupadi in Mahabharata, where during in the court where people are trying to, take away her dignity, she remembers Lord Krishna who comes there and helps her. So those are the people who are in pain or miseries. They remember the Lord. And the second are the artharthi. Artharthi means अर्थ के अर्थी जो है. अर्थ means the objects, so worldly objects, those who desire the worldly objects, and this desire we always want them to be fulfilled, and that's why we pray to the Lord. Bhagwan meri ye ichha puri karo, I want this, I want a car, I want a house, I want this job, I want better salary, I want this, that, I want a son, I want this, that, the other. So all these desires people have, and for them, for fulfilling these desires, they worship the Lord. The third type, he says, are the Jignasu. Jignasus are the people, they don't generally desire the worldly, objects, but they desire to know the truth, and that is their desire. They want to have that knowledge. They want to understand something beyond this. They have already seen the limitations of the worldly possessions, and they now want to see what is the reality behind this. What is that ultimate thing that Lord is trying to talk about? So that is the Jignasu. And the fourth, he says, are the Gnani Bhakta. The Gnani or the wise people, they have a nishkam, because they don't have any desire to serve the Lord. There is no desire. They do it without any desire. So all the first 3, they have some desire to be fulfilled. Like Artha wants relief of pain, miseries. The Artharthi wants some worldly objects, possessions. Jignasu wants to know the truth. But Gnani does not want anything from the Lord. Just for his joy, is always devoting to the Lord. And that's why Gnani has a Sahaja Bhakti. Whereas for the first 3 types of Bhakta, it is called Sadhan Bhakti. Because they want something, they do it as a sadhana. It is called the Sadhana Bhakti, whereas for Gnani it is called Sahaja Bhakti. For the first 3 types of Bhakta, it is Saprayojana Bhakti. They have some prayojana, they want something, they want some desire, something they want. That's why they are devoting to the Lord. But even then Lord says that even though they are doing it for their selfish motives, that's okay, but they are all priya to me. These are the people who pray to me, he says, and that's why Gnani has a Nishprayojana Bhakti. The next shloka, Shri Krishna says, Tesham Gnani Nitya Yukta Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate Priyo Hi Gnani Notyartham Aham Sacha Mama Priyaha. So he says Gnani Bhakta is the best out of all these four types of devotees. Desham Gnani Nitya Yukta. Out of all these four, wise man is the special, is the best of all. Why? He says because he is Nitya Yukta. Because he is constantly connected to me. Not only he is Yukta, he has a control over his mind, body, intellect, all his senses, but he is Nitya Yukta. He is Nitya, always, ever connected to me. And Ek Bhakti Vishishyate. The other reason he gives, it says his devotion is only to one. There are many people who try to devote to lot of Devi Devtas, different. Today they will pray to one, tomorrow they will pray to another. But Gnani has a one point focus. His devotion is only to the one Supreme Lord. Priyo hi Gnanina Aham. He says the wise loves me also very much. And Bhagavan says Atyartham. The wise loves me very much. The wise Gnani ke liye to I am the number one priority. Dunya, world, Jagat, all sansar, nothing is a priority. I am the only one undivided. He has love for me, and that's why I love him very much. He says he is also very dear to me. Sacha mama priyaha. He is also very dear to me. So this is what Bhagavan says for the Gnani Bhakta, that out of all the previous four, the Gnani Bhakta, he's constantly connected to me. His bhakti, his devotion is one pointed, and he loves me very much. For him, I am number one priority, and that's why I also love him very much. He is very dear to me. That's what he says. So we must try and become a full-time devotee. Bhakti is a very important part of sadhana, and bhakti is not something that when we sit and do archana or puja, it is to the Lord, but during our daily routine also we should remember Lord, and whatever work we do, we should do it with as if we are devoting Ishwararpana Bhavna, which is a part of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga also involves Bhakti, because unless Bhagavana is there, part of the Karma, then there is no other Bhakti. So with the Karma, when you add Bhakti, it becomes Yoga, Karma Yoga. So that is how we have to try and become a full-time devotee. And then the next shloka, Lord Krishna says, Udara sarva evaite Gnani tvatmaiva nematam astita sahi yuktatma mamevanuttamam gatim. He says Arjuna must have felt probably, oh acha, Gnani is very dear to you. And Arjuna knows in his own self that he is not yet a Gnani because he already had the moha when we saw all his relatives. So he says, okay. So I am not dear to you. That's what Arjuna must have felt inside, and God probably realized. Lord Krishna realizes everything. He is Sarvajna, he is all-knowing. So he must have felt that Arjuna probably has realized. He says, no. He says, Udaraha sarva eve ete. Means all these four types of devotees I mentioned, Artha, Jignasu, Artharthi and Gnani, they are all great, they are all Udara, they are all Sreshta, they are all good. He says, but Gnani tu Atmaiva me matam. But in my opinion, he says, wise is my own self, he is my Atma, Atma eva me matam. And he says, that is my opinion. Out of all of them, Gnani is my Atma. He saha yukta Atma, because wise man has control over his senses, mind, intellect, yukta Atma. And he mam eva anuttamam gatim astita. He says, and the wise man is firmly established in my supreme self. He says, Jo Bhagavan ki anuttama gatim, the highest self, the supreme self, gati, he is already sthit, he is already astita, he is already well established there, firmly established there. He does not move from there. He is constantly connected to the Lord, and that's why God says that I love him. He is selfless, he is nishkam, nishprayojan, unki bhakti bhi itni sahaj hai. They remind me, without any selfless love according to the Lord is the highest form of love, and that is what he teaches us, to become more selfless. That is what is the nishkam karma yoga. Bahunam janmanam ante gnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. Says the enlightened wise are rare indeed. That is what he says in this shloka. That Bahunam Janmanam Ante, after many births, and of course not just births but even spiritual practices, and these Janma are human births, because in other births we don't have the neither the mind, the intellect, nor the energy, strength, or any any power to do the spiritual practice or the sadhana. And that's why when he says Bahunam Janmanamante, says after many human births, Gnanavan Mam Prapadyante, the wise achieves me. It is not a journey of just one birth, but it's a journey of many, many births. It goes on and on. That's what Lord Krishna is trying to tell us. And the wise achieves me. And what is that achievement? He says, Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. What is that vision? What is that knowledge? What is that understanding that the wise person has? That everything is God. That is the understanding. Samahatma Sudurlabha. One who knows this is a very rare and a great human being. Sudurlabha is a rare, and Mahatma is, Lord Krishna uses the word Mahatma for this wise person. He is a great human being, he says. So Vasudeva, how it means Paramatma, but how does this meaning come? Let us look at it. So Vasu basically means Vishuddha Antakaran, purity of mind. And the Tattva can only, as you know, Vasudeva was the father of Vasudeva, Krishna. That's how Vasudeva got birth, or the Tattva was born in the Vishuddha Antakaran. Vasu means that the entire universe stays in this. Because we use this word Vas and Nivas and Nivasasthana. So where the entire, it's the place of stay or the home. So where the entire universe, the home of this is the Vasu. And Vasu also means one who is present in everyone. Is Vastate hai, ya to Vasu Vas karte hai, Bhagwan sab mein, who is present in everyone as an Antaryami or as conscience. So we need to understand that everything is God, inner, outer, everything is God. This is Sarvam Vasudevam. And even I itself, I am the same as the Vasudeva. Tatvik Drashti se, me and Vasudeva are the same. So Gnani has this understanding, he has this knowledge, he has this very clarity that Aham Idam Sarvam Jagata Vasudeva. Not only me, but all these that I see, and the entire world, the entire universe, everything is Vasudeva, everything is the Lord. And Vedanta gives the same message in a little different way. It uses the prakriya or the process of Vyatireka and then Anvaya. So Vyatireka means it does nishedh of what is not, because it is very difficult to pinpoint what is the tattva. To describe also it is difficult, to understand also it is difficult, because it cannot be, understood by senses. It is beyond senses. It is the one which sees everything. How can you see that thing? So Vedanta uses the Vyatireka, the neti, the prakriya of nisheda, na aham, deha, naham, indriya, naham, manaha, na mano, buddhi, ahankara. So all these neti, and then finally what remains, anvaya, that this is the Brahma. Whatever remains is the Brahma. That is what comes under my understanding, my knowledge, my experience is Brahma. And everything, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, Vedanta says that everything is Brahma. So this is the central message, that Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, that Bhagwan Krishna himself says that this is the ultimate wisdom that we need to develop. How we can see this, that is a difficult question, because this is what the sadhana is meant for. And God does not want to differentiate between wise and unwise. Gnani, Agnani, aisa koi differentiation Bhagwan nahi karte, but this is only for our understanding, to explain to us that the ultimate goal of human life is to understand this message that Vasudeva Sarvamiti, that everything is God. And this is also the climax of devotion or bhakti, which is also this Jnana, Sarva Ekatma Bhakti or Ekatma Jnana or Sarvatra Samadarshana, Sarvatra Samabhavana. All this is the ultimate goal of the bhakti. And Bhagavan says, Bahunam Janmanamante, after many births of sadhana. So it's a long journey, and this journey goes on from birth to birth. Progress also happens very slowly. Bhagavan ne aage bola hai, Shanai, Uparamed. And it's only in human birth that the sadhana is possible, where Sadguna can be, understood, developed. And pain and miseries are the wake-up calls for humans. We should wake up whenever there are pain, miseries. Try to think, what is the purpose of the Lord to give us this pain, and see if we are on the right course or not. And journey comes to the end only when I know my own self. Atma Jnana is the only way to nivrutta Maya, or to end Maya. And this journey of eternal birth and rebirth can be ended only by understanding the real nature of the aparoksha jnana, of the knowledge which is without any sanshaya or viparya, which is completely assimilated as vijnana, as God has said, jnana vijnana yoga. And it is up to me whether I want more births or not, whether I want to end that Maya in this very birth. It is all up to me. Of course, finally, karma cannot bring moksha. Karma can lead me to a much better purity of my mind. And then finally, it is the grace of the Lord that we can get moksha and we can understand this liberation. And Bhagavan says, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. This kind of Mahatma, Mahan Atma, who has a Vishal Antakaran, he has a very vast expanse. He is one with the vast Brahma Swarupa. This kind of a Mahatma, as you know, Mahatma Gandhi was given this by Rabindranath Tagore. So Mahan Atma, the means Vishal Antakaran, who has a vast expanse. And these kind of people are very durlabh, they are very rare, because for one to reach this goal of Atma Jnana, and though Bhagavan says it is difficult, it is durlabha, he says it is not impossible. We must remember that though it is difficult, it is rare, but it is not impossible. Even in this life it can be achieved. And for in the 8th Adhyaya, Lord Krishna says, for the one who tries, it is sulabha. It gives a very opposite meaning. Here he says durlabha, then he says it is sulabha. It is easy for somebody. So for a person who keeps trying, it is not that difficult. It is dependent on the adhikaritva of the sadhaka, whether it is durlabha or sulabha, whether it is difficult or whether to understand and achieve the Lord is difficult or easy. Kamaistaistairita jnana prapadyante devataha tam niyamamasthaya prakrutya niyata swaya. So in this shloka, Lord Krishna tells us that even though He is everywhere or God is everywhere, all pervasive, why we are not able to see Him, why we don't know Him. And He says, Kamhai te taihi ritagnanaha, means by incessant desires, the self-knowledge is destroyed. Destroyed meaning it is hidden, it is not seen, it is not easily seen. It is aparat, yato it is kidnapped. Prapadyante anya devtas. That's why we keep praying to many devtas for fulfilling our desires, because we have a lot of desires in our mind which keeps coming one after the other. And prakrutya niyata swaya, according to our own nature. Every individual has his own nature. So according to our nature, we have desires, and we keep praying to different devtas to fulfilling our desires. And tam niyamam asthaya, means we follow many rituals and rules, that these are the vrata, that I'll do this, I'll do some fasting, I'll do this, so many japa, mala, all this. So we keep doing these rituals, rules, and we keep praying devtas to fulfill our desires. So Vishaya Kamna is the worldly desires, is the one thing that keeps us in this world. And it is my own experience that there are many desires which keep coming all the time. And without thinking, we keep fulfilling them, and they keep coming. So it's like a never-ending, pot. So the root cause of these desires is unawareness or ignorance of ourself, because that is, our self is a completely fulfilled, paripurna Atma, which we don't understand, we don't know, and that's why we think that we are just this body, this mind, and this we are incomplete. We want to achieve this, we want to do this, we want to become successful, and that's why these desires keep coming to us. And these desires spring us into action, karma, ichha, karma, kamana, karma, and then karma will give us a karma phala, then we enjoy bhoga, and then these bhogas create some kind of impressions in our mind. And these sanskaras will drive us to do this kamana, because impression sanskara always will help us to get into this. So this cycle keeps on coming. And these desires keep us in this world because they are the major obstacles for us. And that's why we have to transcend these desires, and this can only be done by viveka and vichara, by scrutinizing these desires, by understanding that these desires are superfluous, they keep coming, they are all some of them are actually unnecessary, And that's how we can, with understanding, we can hide this or get over this. One example which is given in our scriptures is how the cloud hides the sun, and actually we are not able to see the sun, and then we think that the cloud is hiding the sun, that's why I'm not able to see the sun. This is a very common understanding, but the reality is, if we do vichara and viveka, scriptures tell us that clouds is very small in comparison to the sun. It can never hide the sun. If you want to hide something, then that object which needs to be hid, it should be greater than the object which needs to be hidden. But here the cloud is very small, and that's why what cloud does is actually it hides my ignorance, so that I'm not able to see. The sun is already there behind the clouds, but I'm not able to see because it forms a kind of a layer in front of me, so that I'm not able to see the sun properly. And that's why this is what is called as an avran, or this is how we can, in scriptures we understand that even though Brahma is already there or God is already there, we are not able to see the Lord because there is a agnan or avidya avrana, or there is a layer which hides this. And that's how these layer, what Lord here says is this incessant desires or kamana is one that hides our, and that's why what we try to do is we do symptomatic treatment, we take care of some of the other desires, fulfill them, but we don't go to the root of the problem. We don't go to the understanding of the Atma Jnana, which is the root of the problem, which will help us to eradicate all these unnecessary desires from its foundation. So that is what we need to understand at every point of time. Whenever we have to take decisions in life, priorities are definitely important, and we are the ones who will decide the priorities, which decisions to take, how, and based on what we want to achieve in life. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhayarchitum ichchati tasya tasya chalam shraddham tameva vidadhamyaham. Here again, Lord Krishna says that those who worship those devtas who have a different form or different idol with faith for fulfilling their desires, he says, Tasya tasya achalam shraddham. I strengthen their achal faith here every time. And tam eva vidadhamyaham. By giving them the desired results, the karma phala, whatever they want, I give them, he says. Sataya shraddhaya yuktaha tasya radhanamihate labhate chatatah kaman mayeva vihitan hitan. He says, with faith, all these people, they keep worshipping these devatas, and he says those devatas fulfill their desires in return by giving them some karma phala. But you must understand that in reality, mai eva vihitan hitan. In reality, I only give them the due fruits of their actions. I am the karma phala data. Though we may believe that it all comes through these devatas, we may think that we are worshipping these devatas and whatever we are getting is through these devatas or these gods, but actually it is the Ishvara who gives all this karma phala. Now our Guruji explains it in a different way, saying that it is from the MPs or the member of parliament who are elected. They have a grant given to them, so they do a lot of activities in their area, in their constituency, and then they feel that this is from the MP's grant that we have done. But all these grants come from the center, so it's the central government which is actually it is like an Ishvara, and through these MPs or these devatas, everything is given. So this is how we need to understand that it is the center which helps us to do everything. So by this we come to the end of the second section of the 7th Adhyaya, and to summarize the second session, Tribihi Gunamai Bhavai Ebhi, in this world of three gunas, Bhagavan describes that this world of three gunas comes from the Maya, which is also Triguna Atmika, and everything in this world is Trigunamai. And it says, Sarvam idam jagatam mohitam. Everybody is deluded in this world because of these three gunas, and they don't know me because they are all deluded by this moha and maya. And he describes what is maya. He says, this is my maya. It is under the control of Ishvara. And he says, Maya mama maya duratyaya. It is very difficult to overcome, to understand this maya. But he says, those who come to my shelter, mama eva prapadyante, those are the people who can get across this maya. That is the only way to get across this Maya. Namam prapadyante, and then he describes those people who do not take my shelter, those 5 types of people, dushkrutinaha, those mudha, uh, those who are Daivi, Asurim, Sampatti, uh, those are the people. And then he describes the Chaturvida Bhajante Mam, the 4 types of people who pray to me, Artha, Artharthi, Jignasu, and Gnani. And out of these 4, he says Gnani is the best because he is Nitya Yuktaha, is constantly connected to me. And he describes the spiritual journey. After many births, it takes many births to reach this goal. And Gnanavam Mam Prapadyante, the wise achieves me after many births of sadhana. And what he knows by this sadhana is Vasudeva Sarvamidam, that is, everything is God, some Mahatma. That kind of a wise person is very, very rare. So with this, we come to the end of the second session of the 7th Adhyaya. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.